Apex Express, Asian Pacific Expression.
Community and cultural coverage.
Music and calendar.
New visions and voices.
Coming to you with an Asian Pacific Islander point of view.
It's time to get on board the Apex Express.
Tonight on Apex Express, we talk story with singer-songwriter Thao Nguyen. Join me, your host, Miko Lee, as I talk with this multi-hyphenated artist. We get to hear about her new album, chat about her short documentary, and hear about her artistic inspirations. Thao's tour starts this week in North Carolina, so listen in to hear from the brilliant Thao, and then check out her website to catch a live show.
In today's show, you'll be listening to some songs from Thao and the Get Down Stay Down's 2020 album, Temple. First off, let's listen to Pure Cinema.
Traveled so lightly 'cause I was a fraction out there. Bodies in motion, just wanna belong somewhere. I gave it good enough. I watched it all. Pure cinema. Little mellow. Keep a little for once. Who do we think we are? Live a little. Traveled so lightly 'cause I was a fraction out there. Bodies in motion, just wanna belong somewhere. I gave it good enough. I watched it all. Pure cinema. I was once a shell. It could turn as well. Who do we think we are? Live a little. Why don't you stay a while? Find your family. Let them anchor you in the open sea. It could get dangerous, baby, but how bad could it be? Look what fear has done to a young buck like me. Won't you stay a while? Find your family. Let them anchor you in the open sea. It could get dangerous, baby, but how bad could it be? Look what fear has done to a young buck like scattered here, scattered there. Don't be scared, don't be scared. Scattered here, scattered there. Don't be scared, don't be scared. Travel so lightly 'cause I was a fraction out there. Bodies in motion, just wanna belong somewhere. I gave it good enough. I watched it all. Pure cinema. Traveled so lightly 'cause I was a fraction out there. Bodies in motion, just wanna belong.
That was Pure Cinema by today's guest, Thao Nguyen. Let's get to the interview.
Welcome, Thao Nguyen, to Apex Express.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I love talking with creative people, and you're such an amazingly talented singer and songwriter and imagination creator. I want to start with the first question I ask all of my guests, which is, who are your people and what legacy do you carry with you?
Who are my people? Some of them include the family I was born into. I'm from Virginia. I was born and raised in Virginia, but I'm the daughter of Vietnamese refugees of war. And I moved out to the Bay in 2006 after my first US tour. And I'm so fortunate to have such a robust community here in the Bay and all of my chosen family here.
And what legacy do you carry with you?
What legacy? I think the legacy I prioritize. I think, we inherit a lot. And as time goes on and we get older, we realize that everything is finite and you have to choose which legacies you choose to continue and perpetuate and honor, and what you have to leave by the wayside. And so the things I choose to continue and celebrate are that of a real ability to be very present and in the moment and available to joy. And I think the people I come from are really good at metabolizing joy because they know the flip side of it so well.
Ooh, that's so interesting. Can you speak more about what it means to metabolize joy?
An ongoing practice. I think it is to be truly present. And I believe, of course, gratitude goes a long way. But to fully metabolize it is to allow yourself to feel embodied in it. And, there's more somatic practice. I think to actually feel it course through your body, you are you're honoring it as completely as possible. And you have to acknowledge that it's happening as it's happening. I think that's having true presence with it.
Can you roll back with me in time and talk about your earliest childhood memories of being a singer or songwriting? What came first?
I loved music from a very early age, but I didn't have a lot of access to it, to making it. It was more as a listener. The soundscape that I grew up with, there was a series called Paris by Night, which probably you've heard of within Vietnamese diaspora community and culture. And it was this variety show that was created by people who had to flee Vietnam. And originally it was in Paris, and it showcased a lot of singers and performers who had fled either before, during, or right after the fall of Saigon. And it was this one gathering wherein entertainers from the different generations, from my grandmother's generation, from my parents, were able to coalesce and exist together. And it was just this sampler platter of a lot of different sonic influences. And then you had the younger generation, which was reinterpreting what American pop music was at the time. So you'd have my grandmother, lương, which was this it's this almost like folk operatic, very dramatic, theatrical singing with a lot of pitch bending, and which I didn't understand that I was absorbing it in such a way that I would recreate it later on in my playing. But I would go on to credit it to being from Virginia and saying it was more of like an Appalachian influence, which it was as well. But the origins, the true origins, were within my soundscape before I understood what that was, So you have that, and then you have an artist named Linda Drangdai who's basically reinterpreting like the latest Madonna song and has a cone bra on. So everyone's existing act after act in the same. Sorry for that ramble. Did I answer that question?
Yeah, so do you remember the age, or you just grew up hearing all these different kinds of sounds?
I mean, that was from before I knew what age I was, that was just like, and that was such for the community and within my family, it was such an event every time one of these, double VHS things were issued, that people would be making copies. Someone would drop it off at the house. There was always one or two in circulation, but it was this event that you'd
Are these like
take.
bootleg copies?
Yeah, there's like
Wow.
there's bootleg. There was one book and music store in Eden Shopping Center, which was like the hub of the Vietnamese community in Northern Virginia. And so someone would buy the original and then go and bootleg it. You don't know how you ended up with what, but just like they would drop off some citrus and Hennessy or whatever, and then the Paris by Night thing. And
Love that. The combo, citrus,
yeah.
Hennessy, and some
Right?
music.
Everything is a digestif, you know? And so I would have that, but then of course I listened to the radio. That was my main resource. And I listened to the oldie station the most. And I loved Motown. And I remember in this I was like 5 or 6. We had these large speakers that sat on the floor either side of this cassette deck radio unit, and I would lay down, and every time Smokey Robinson came on, You Really Got a Hold of Me, that was like my favorite song, and I would tape it, and then so either I would listen to it live or I would play the cassette, and I would just lay down and get as close to the speakers as I could. But at that point I hadn't seen who Smokey Robinson was, and I imagined, because I also am a child of 80s and 90s TV, I imagined it was Crystal, who was Roseanne's best friend from the Roseanne show. I didn't know anything, but I felt all of it.
Wow. I
Yeah,
love
so
that. I love that. And I was really wondering, I heard this story about you that you actually did a rap on Charlotte's Web when you were in
oh
elementary
wow.
school.
Okay, this is a deep cut. You've done some research.
Tell me about how that came to be. So you must have been introduced to rap pretty young to be
Oh,
doing that.
absolutely. This was another, and this, I'm so glad you brought that up, because all of this is every genre, every kind of music at this point is so vital to me, and it actually goes on to reflect the kind of music I make. And so I have an older brother, he's almost 8 years older, and around this same time, he's a huge hip hop fan. That's one of the things he loves. He loves like Duran Duran and like the Fat Boys, and when I saved money, the first cassette I ever bought was Salt and Pepper. And so I was listening
Love
to
it.
Fat Boys and Queen Latifah, and I loved to hear the flow, the different cadences. And in 3rd grade, I was voted best rapper. Not coincidentally, this is the year I do the book report, the Charlotte's Web, and they gave me the option, you can either write it or you can write a song or whatever. And so I wrote a rap about Charlotte's Web, but I was too shy. I had recorded it and just played it in my presentation. I didn't perform it live.
And how was it received?
Oh, I mean, I can still hear the roar. Yeah, everyone. I think the
Crowd
teachers
roared. The 3rd graders roared.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's standing on their desks. It's rickety. Teachers are worried about child safety. It doesn't matter. They're like, encore. I'm like, I don't have anything else.
Wait,
It
for
was
real?
sweet. No. The truth was, the teachers thought it was cute. Probably the kids thought it was funny. I actually don't know, because I was so nervous. Even pressing play, I was so nervous. I don't know if I registered how it was received.
That's so sweet. Given your eclectic music knowledge and the music that was around you at the time, as a musician now, you've been described with so many different categories: country, tinged, indie, folk, pop, blues. How would you describe your music?
I would describe it as, what's embarrassing is I've been doing this a long time now, and I've never figured out a way to describe it. I generally just say it's under the umbrella of indie rock, but influenced by jazz and hip hop. And because I learned to play guitar by picking out country blues songs, and because I grew up in Virginia, there are these like old time country blues picking patterns that I've used. So that I've never figured out a way to say it succinctly, and I continue.
And you don't need to. That's okay.
Thank you.
Is there a big Vietnamese population in Virginia?
Yeah, I think there is a very healthy population there, and it was one of the first places that people were settling, when they were being resettled. And my parents met in a refugee camp in Guam, and then they were sent to Arkansas, and then from there sponsored out to North Carolina. And then from there, a few friends that they had made had found work with Metro, which is the public transportation train system in DC, and found my dad work there. So that's why people resettled. That's why we ended up in Virginia.
So, Thao and the Get Down, Stay Down, you released 5 studio albums, and now you're working primarily as a solo artist, right?
Yes. Yeah, I will say I still record and perform with a band. And a lot of the people who worked and performed with me in that iteration are still with me. It was more, I wanted to just use my name and move beyond what the Get Down, Stay Down was, which I was never really sure. With things that you choose when you're 22, as time goes, it starts to, and you're lucky if you can kind of shed things and not stay beholden too much.
What have you learned to shed?
Oh my gosh. Thankfully, a great deal, and it's an ongoing exercise, but I used to be so much heavier with the weight of what I thought a serious artist was, what I thought a serious songwriter should be, where I thought my, different benchmarks of what success were, what I should be making versus what people wanted to hear versus what I wanted to hear. I wasn't always all the way sure about what I wanted, I think a lot of people encounter that. But I've thankfully been able to shed as much as I can. It's an ongoing practice. But one thing is that I used to think, I can't believe I've been doing this long. And it's not necessarily, I didn't understand what I was working towards, but only that I had not gotten there yet. And then, I think pandemic and on, I've been just so, and as I get older, the transition into being so sincerely grateful that I'm still here and I get to do this. This is what my job is. And however I can and whatever I can do to sustain being able to do this for my livelihood and maintain my integrity within it is the greatest gift. So when I made that switch, a lot of the darkness left me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Next, let's listen to Temple, the first track off of Thao's album of the same name. That was Temple by Thao and the Get Down Stay Down. Back to her interview with Miko.
I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the 2017 documentary, Nobody Dies, a film about a musician, her mom, and Vietnam. How did that, and that's a documentary that follows you and your mom as you go to Vietnam. I'm wondering how that project came about.
Yes, I'm happy to tell you about it. In 2015, I was invited by concert promoters in conjunction with the U.S. Embassy based in Hanoi to come perform for I guess at that point it was the 25th anniversary of the normalization of relations between the U.S. and Vietnam. And I was able to bring my band, and I was able to bring my mom, and she hadn't been back in 43 years. And she used to work for the South Vietnamese Embassy and was stationed in Laos when Saigon fell. So she actually left Vietnam in 73, assuming she would go back after her time abroad, and then was never able to return. So I was able to bring her. The struggle was, would she actually come? And I had a bear of a time initially convincing her it would be okay. And it was like just begging her to come. She's like freaking out. She hangs up on me. I call back. She hangs up. It was a back and forth that I'm trying to convince her of things that I'm not sure of, where she's like, I'm still on a list. I'm like, no, you're not. But I don't know that, how would I know that? But I told her she wasn't on the list. Anyway, a friend of mine who's a filmmaker, as this all was happening, he asked if he could come along and document all of it. And he and his DP traveled with us. And it was an incredibly intense trip, and it was beautiful, and I'm so glad it was documented. And then somewhere along the way, I had a performance, and this was all in editing, and then I ran into Don Young at CAM, Center for Asian American Media. Oh, I know what it was. It was something for Sundance, and Don Young and I were just in the same shuttle going to the airport, and we were talking, and I told him a little bit about this, and then I sent him some footage, and then CAM and PBS were gracious enough to co-produce and make it so it could be, a half-hour documentary that aired on PBS. So
that was on a bus ride.
That was on an airport shuttle.
Airport shuttle, I love it.
Yeah.
So was it hard to convince your mom? I know it was hard to convince her to go to Vietnam. Was it hard to convince her also then to be on film? What was her response to that?
Well, luckily for all of us, my mom loves to be on film and is a total flirt and ham. And
so that was a bonus. That was
a bonus. The camera loves her, as did the film director, my friend Todd. She loved it. And she comes alive, and she's a true performer. And it was really beautiful to see her in this element that I didn't know if I actually never thought I'd get to see her this way. I grew up, both my brother and I grew up translating for her. It's sort of at every level. And we'd go out to restaurants, and it's not that it's like she would get shy, and then it was just easier. It always just became easier if we just did it for her. But so we'd order for her at restaurants, and to see her, not to say that she doesn't, she was a small business owner. She owned a laundromat and dry cleaners in Virginia, and totally is the reason why everybody is alive, But to see her move so seamlessly and easily, I'm sorry, it's emotional, in the world was this such a gift I didn't know I'd get. And you see her haggling with people, and she's directing us, she's pointing out. Yeah, it was just a really, no matter how long someone has been away from the place they were born, to see them back there is, it was just such a beautiful gift. And I'm glad we have it on film.
Did you discuss that with your mom? How different that was for you to see her in a different way?
Not directly. I've written about it, but we don't have the kind of, that's never come up in those ways. We talk a lot. I try to call her at least almost every day, just because she lives across the country. So I want to just be sure that, I'm just doing these like casual wellness checks. But we don't often get into those more philosophical conversations. But she did, The song Temple, which would become the lead single of the album Temple, was inspired by this moment of candor that I had never experienced before and I would never experience again. It happened one night when we were in Vietnam. And she just said out of nowhere, you have to understand what freedom is. And you have to understand why a million people would risk their lives at sea. And I can't teach you that. I can't help you with it. You have to know for yourself. And that's what became the song Temple, wherein she's speaking to me about her life before, during, and after war.
That's so powerful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that about your music, the personal visions and dreams and pain that you experience, putting that in. Is there another song of yours that really stands out to you?
Another one, aside from that?
Aside from that.
There's yes, there's definitely a few from this new album that I just finished and is releasing in September. From that same album, Temple, there's the song Marrow. There's a few. That album is as much, it was this, I just had this, I knew that I had to make it both about what my Vietnamese identity is and what it is to be queer in Vietnamese and stay in the culture, which is not something that I thought I could do. So yeah, I would say both Temple and Marrow encapsulate this effort to fully align myself in ways that I hadn't been able to.
And what is Marrow about?
Marrow is about what it means to fully accept yourself so that you could offer yourself to the rest of your life. It's like
that's all.
That's all. And it was against the backdrop of getting married, but it was more about me coming to terms with, not even coming to terms, like even that language is so disparaging. It was just about claiming myself and saying to my family, I need to be, I need to be my full self, and I believe I can be with you still. But the lines are it's so funny. I sing it all the time and I can't the line I'm thinking of in particular is, at that point I'm apologizing to my partner at the time and saying, I'm basically, I couldn't claim us because of this barrier, but I'm sorry to you and I'm sorry to me. And I have grief in my marrow. Will you marry me still? So that's a roundabout way of explaining what that song is.
Would you believe she wants to keep the rest of me, the death of me? I got grief in my marrow. Will you marry me still? I'm one of two on the straight and the narrow, and I'm coming for you. I was an island. Was I treading? Was I fleeing? I was silent. I could barely hear me breathing. You dawned upon me. To the least goes the most. I was the drought, and you were the coast. I promise will be good to us. I promise what are you worth if you don't make a sound? We'll be good. I've been searching all of my life. I've been searching all of my life. My life, when it's whittled to the middle, is it alright that I managed just a little of the good fight? Had to learn what truth does. The friction of the fiction was burning me up. I was an island. Was I treading? Was I fleeing? I was silent. I could barely hear me breathing. I know I've lived as a quiet apology. I'm sorry to you, and I'm sorry to me.
You just listened to Marrow by tonight's guest, Thao Nguyen.
You talk about Temple and how that was based on this trip you took in 2015, right?
Mhm.
2016.
Mhm.
How long does it generally take you for a song to germinate?
That one, that is an example of a longer gestation period because because Vietnam was such an intense time. It was months, maybe it was 2 years before I could even think about it, honestly. And there are other things that happen. I wish things happened more instantaneously. It's very rare that a whole song will just present itself, you know. Temple, that song in particular, when I started writing it, it took maybe 2 hours, but it took me 2 years to get to the point where I could.
And it
And
just came
then,
to you in two
yeah, it
hours.
just came, just the vision, all those, the imagery, everything that I'd wanted to say, I understood how to present it. And I think I had tried in other forms over that time, but it just wasn't ready. Other songs, yeah, anywhere from it's like the chorus or a hook or a verse will come very quickly, and then the more arduous stuff is building around it to make sure that it's properly bolstered. Like if I believe in a hook, then I'll try to build the house around it.
And what do you do? Do you just record it straight up right when you get the hook, like on a small device, or what's your process?
It typically I'm playing an instrument, either guitar or piano, or I've written, sometimes I get bored, I write on other instruments, but primarily it's guitar, piano, and um it'll be the melodic hook only on the instrument, and then I'll put words. But yeah, I just use voice memos, and then as I'm building it, then I'll move into Pro Tools and 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 record a more proper demo.
And do you have a set working process or you just vibe it whenever you're feeling it? And I ask because I always ask this of artists because I think it's
Hmm.
so interesting. What is the discipline it takes for your art form? And
Oh
I
yeah.
remember I interviewed Isabel Allende years ago, and she said, yes, I make myself go in my studio at 8 a.m. every day. And even if I can't write, I sit there from this time to this time. So what is your process like? Or do you have a set process?
Yes, absolutely. And it's taken me so many years to figure out what my set process is and to have the discipline to really, really, I do believe it is a daily practice and it is a daily discipline. And I'm so afraid of what happens when I slip out of it because I know what happens. I tumble into this very dark, deep well of despair and I don't know. You start to question what your whole purpose is. It gets bad very quickly, right? So I'm always trying to stay on the side of not completely sliding down. Um, Not to say it isn't very joyful, and I mean this is a very lucky position to be in. But so one of the things that's been going on for the last few years is I have multiple projects going on at once, and I do have to figure out. The album is just finished, thankfully, but I am developing a musical and I'm also writing a book. And so I have to I divvy out the days. I would like to say that I can work on all three in one day, not possible. So I have to choose. Um, and it's always the morning time is the best for generating something from nothing. And then I try not to edit or revise or question it until that afternoon or later. Actually, you don't question it within that same day. Like I think the main priority for me is maintaining momentum and optimism. So I need to do whatever it is to thwart whatever part of me is trying to take it down. Um, so I'll work in the morning for a few hours and then leave it, and as writers say, leave it, no matter if it's songwriting or whatever, like leave it at a place where when you start again, you feel good about it and you know what the next step is.
And do you have a set time? It's like just the morning from this time to this time. And then do you say musical today, book today, album today? How do you do
Mhm.
that?
Well, it depends on the deadlines. I'm
Of course.
I work to the deadline because thankfully there's always at least one happening. And I love this, by the way, because I actually, when I'm stuck, I just look up different routines for writers and artists. It's like my favorite thing to do. So I love to participate in this conversation. But I wake up, I meditate, I try to do a little stretching, and then I do a walk. It depends on where I'm working. Okay, here's the thing. If I'm working on music, I have to work at home. If I can write, then I'm going to go to a coffee shop or the library, or my friends just opened up Local Economy. So I've been going there, and because writing is so lonely and miserable that I cannot be in the house. There's no way. I have to be in public, and just at least feeling the energy of other life.
With songwriting also?
With songwriting, I have to be home because I'm making all this noise. So, with songwriting, I'll be at home, but that's way less miserable because I can just play guitar or piano or something. And then, or I'll be in studio with my friends that I'm making the album with. Now that I've finished the album and I'm moving and I'm more squarely in the book writing, I try to do 2 hours, not solid. I'll try, like, for a while. I was doing the timer with the 25 minutes at a time, and then I wasn't getting enough done, and then more than 2 hours, I just can't. It's not sustainable for me. I feel like if I get a solid hour to two, or maybe you hit like a 2 or 3 page quota or something, and then just don't even look at it, and then I go exercise, and I need to be outside or go on a hike or something.
Okay, tell us about this book. What is it about? What's the timeline? No pressure.
I would love to tell you what it's about if I knew better what it was. It's a collection of essays, and I'm calling it. So it'll be out on Grey Wolf in spring of 27. And so it is due relatively soon because it's a longer lead time. I'm calling it a community memoir because it's a collection of essays from it's all through my lens, but it's to celebrate these characters that I grew up with in Falls Church, Virginia, within my family, within the community, that they're so vivid to me, and their stories, the quieter sides, the quieter moments of what it means to live in diaspora, or what I want to capture. And also part of it is what shaped my musical life, and there are all these influences and elements that I just wanted to celebrate and honor, and these people that I remember, but I'm turning 42. I'm close to losing the hi-fi detail of them, and I don't know who else is in a position to capture it, and also it's this amazing opportunity to talk to my mom's brothers and sisters. There are tales. Of course, you grow up with, I think it's really different I was raised, in Virginia primarily by my mom. My grandmother and my aunt didn't come till I was 5, but the stories that I heard mostly were from my mom, who left in 73, and her experience is so different than my grandmother, my aunt, all of my mom's siblings who had to stay through the fall and live in a different regime, and so to get to hear those stories of just like the more quotidian indignities of what is life after you've lost to them, they've lost their country, but they're still in it, like what is it what were the rice rations like? Yeah, so 50 years on, what stays with people, against the backdrop of the most devastating thing that can happen is that, like, the rice was so broken and it was so rationed, and the quality of it was so infuriating. And that my uncle talks about, just for the 50th anniversary, I went back, I had an event, I think at the Smithsonian, and I went, and I was staying with my uncle, and so I was able to ask them questions, and he remembers buying meat on the black market, but you'd go to this market, you'd make eye contact with the person, you follow them to behind the stall, they give you this meat wrapped in newspaper, you don't even know what it is, you can't unwrap it till you get home, Anyway, those are the things that I just am so fascinated by, and there's just this kind of humanity and life in them that I want to help record. And if nothing else, just so that I know that it gives me an opportunity to ask these questions. There's stuff about, I'm estranged from my father, and I have a lot. There are things that it just, these essays are helping me better understand and process these open-ended storylines that have punctuated and haunted me.
And this is your first book, right?
It is. Yes.
What made you decide to do a book format and also essays, I heard you say, as opposed to another album or a series of songs?
I've always wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a writer before I was a songwriter, before I wanted to do anything. And I think it scares me the most in my life. And it was time to, the opportunity came up, very fortunately, to get to write a book for Grey Wolf, of which I'm a huge fan, and it's a true honor to be affiliated with them. And I wanted to do it because it's a lifelong goal and dream that actually is way scarier to me than making music and performing music. So I kind of just needed to see that I needed to try.
And why an essay format?
I think that's what naturally, for the first go, it is what naturally I'm drawn to and what happens most easily. And I think they're similar to songs in that way. And I'm very much, as a writer, as a songwriter or prose writer, I want to try and just capture a moment and a feeling. And that's my main prerogative and my main compulsion when I write. And so for this first go, I'm hoping that there will be more. But this, is just the easiest way to package it.
I'm absolutely looking forward to reading it. Now share about a musical. Tell me more.
Musical, I don't know how much I can say besides, it's not been announced yet, but I do spend a lot of time in New York, and it's an adaptation. I shouldn't have, I just wanted to mention that it was happening, but I know now that I can't actually say.
Okay, that's okay. It's secret. So how can our audiences find out more about you and your work? We'll put a link to your website, absolutely, on our program page, but are there other ways that folks can find out more and keep up to date with what you're doing?
For sure. There's all the social media outlets, we're on there at Thao Get Stay Down, and I have a Substack called Thao for the Record, which actually was just me sort of documenting my process of making this next record. But that is my preferred way to be in touch in a more long form, less harried way. And the new album is coming out in mid to late September. And so I'm really excited about that. And we're gearing up for more touring starting this summertime.
Excellent. Can't wait to listen to you more and hear the new piece. And thank you so much for joining us on Apex Express.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a joy to speak with you.
The last song we're playing tonight is also the last on the album Temple. It's called I've Got Something. That was I've Got Something by Thao and the Get Down Stay Down.
Thank you so much for listening tonight. Remember to reconnect to your ancestral technologies and hold in the power of tenderness. Please check out our website, kpfa.org/program/Apex Express, to find out more about our show and our guests tonight. We thank all of you listeners out there. Keep resisting, keep organizing, keep creating and sharing your visions with the world, because your voices are important. Apex Express is produced by Ayame Keane-Lee, Anuj Vaida, Cheryl Trong, Isabel Lee, Jelena Keane-Lee, Miko Lee, Miata Tan, Preeti Magala-Shakar, and Swati Ryasam. Tonight's show was produced by me, Miko Lee, and edited by Ayame Keane-Lee. Have a great night.
American historian, author, and leading scholar of racism and anti-racism, Ibram X. Kendi.
The major theory that's being used to get people to consent to their own domination is Great Replacement theory. This is a political theory that suggests that there are these globalist elites who are enabling peoples of color to displace the lives and livelihoods and even electoral power of white people who apparently therefore need authoritarian protection. And so when we hear phrases like immigrants are invading the nation, we're hearing great replacement theory, or diversity programs are discriminatory, or there's an internal enemy. We're hearing a theory that's trying to get people to believe they need protection, they need someone to save them. And then the authoritarian comes around and says, I will protect you and I will save you by snatching your freedoms and rights.
Storytelling for social change, only on KPFA.
Base command, all systems go. We are go for launch.
This is when KPFA music takes over. Raw, eclectic, real. No playlist algorithms, no corporate formatting. Just sound that moves, shifts, and surprises. Jazz bleeding into cumbia. Folk crashing into noise. The underground rising to the surface. No two nights are ever the same on KPFA. Throttle up. This night has no ceiling. Find your groove at 94.1 FM, kpfa.org.
KPFA broadcast engaged, holding steady.
This is 94.1 KPFA and 89.3 KPFB in Berkeley, 88.1 KFCF in Fresno, everywhere at kpfa.org.